The Ukrainians lost between 1 and 1.5 million dead. That's not dead and wounded. That's dead, period. Killed in action. Russia is not losing this war. Russia is winning and winning. Yeah, well then why is it taking 4 years? Didn't they say 3 days to Kiev? Well, you know what? You know who said that? That was one Mark Milley, back then Joint Chiefs of Staff. That guy. He was the highest ranking military man. And he said, oh, you know, the Russians might reach Kiev in 3 days. That's where that comes from. The Russians never claimed that. The Russians went in short-staffed, and they weren't where they are now. But I do agonizing research when it comes to these things, and the actual numbers are somewhere in this vicinity. The Ukrainians lost between 1 and 1.5 million dead. That's not dead and wounded. That's dead. Period. Killed in action. If you scale that about 3 to 1, then you're probably dealing with 3 to 5 million dead and wounded. That's the Ukraine. A country of originally 40 million, which is now down to 20 million. Mostly because most of the men of military fighting age left. And so did a lot of other people. Russia, on the other hand, is doing a very slow war of attrition. That's how Russians fight. They don't normally attack people. They've been invaded by Napoleon, they've been invaded by Hitler, by other hordes. We have about 800-900 bases around the world. We're the big bad bully, the world's policeman, whatever. We want to bring democracy and freedom to everyone. They hate us for our freedom. No, that's not why they hate us. They hate us because we're the big bad bully. But I get ahead of myself. When you look at geopolitics, the Russians have lost a little over 100,000 people according to the best intel that I can find. And I do a lot of research, and this is based on actual data. This is the Pentagon, the U.S. lying scam media, take the information directly from the Ministry of Truth or Propaganda in the Ukraine. They do not get accurate data. The Russians want to conserve. They say we'll get there anyway. Might as well get there slow. We can do this fast. We can slow this. But the faster we go, the more people will lose. We're not in the business of losing a lot of Russians. So we'll do it slow. We have all the time in the world. I think they should speed it up personally a little bit, but not the way that it's being said they should. And certainly not by a ceasefire, unconditional, unless it's bullshit. Trump, a couple of months ago, went out there and he said publicly, now the Ukrainians have lost about 700,000 and the Russians have lost over 1 million. Their economy is in tatters, like Ursula von der Leyen. That's the head of the EU, unelected official from Brussels, and a horrible human individual. But this Ursula von der Leyen and all these people, they claim that the Russian economy is in tatters. Look at the interest rate. Now, the Russian economy used to be 25 on the world scale. Germany used to be number 4, is now number 8, is on the way to number 50. And in a short order, probably within a couple of years. They'll be insignificant. It'll be no longer an industrial power. Whereas Russia is doing rather well. Yes, you heard that correctly. Let me repeat it if you're hard of hearing. Russian economy is doing outstandingly well. Yeah, but the ruble, this and that. I heard they were like, no, they're not. You've been told wrongly. The same thing applies to you. It behooves you as a responsible citizen to get accurate information. Otherwise, you're not a man. You're a little boy that just believes whatever he's friggin' told. You need to have accurate data. One of my favorite people out there on the internet is a former CIA analyst by the name of Larry Johnson. He's also a firearms instructor. He's a great guy. He's always describing America as this big, bad, abusive spouse. If you're dealing with the world is so tired of dealing with America. Oh, they hate our freedom. No, they hate that we bully them, that we think that our way is the only way. No, we're the shining city on the hill, we're the beacon of freedom and democracy. Well, then how come we've invaded 80 countries since World War II? Nobody even knows in Washington exactly how many military bases we have. We've attacked countries left and right. We just sanction the hell out of them, then we weaken them, soften them up, then we invade them, shock and awe, we bomb the shit out of them, and so forth and so on. That's the hallmark of a psychopathic bully. That's a sociopath right there. That's not a critical thinker. And every president has done that, ever since I can remember. And I'm a bit of a critical thinker myself. I like to look at things. I study history, I study geopolitics, I study economics, psychology, all these things to a point. And when I see the President of the United States getting absolutely false information, it's his duty to surround himself with people who give him accurate information and not just bobbleheads that are like, yes, whatever you say, Mr. President, we're fully on board with everything you say. You want to invade Iran? Go right ahead, because Netanyahu told you. Go right ahead. We're the biggest, baddest nation on earth. We're not. We could not win the ground war against Russia. If we took every piece of military hardware, people, all the troops we could have, the entirety of NATO, it would go to ground in Romania, in Poland, in the Ukraine, and try to take on Russia. We would get our asses handed to us with room to spare. If you don't believe that, you're disparaging America. No, go fuck yourself. These are the actual facts. We can't do it. Do you think we can do this in China, 6,000 miles away? No, they're not much on naval power. Yeah, but 6,000 miles away, they'll sink an aircraft carriers, all of them, the entire battle group, in a matter of minutes. The Houthis couldn't. The Houthis are almost getting there. So we're not who we think we are. That's the next thing. You know, in World War II, how many 4-star generals there were? 4. Now we have 44 4-stars. And at this point, nobody has respect for the brass. You have all chiefs, no Indians. And, you know, the way you rise up. Look at Austin Powers. No, not Austin Powers. Lloyd Austin. Or you look at, you know, Pretty Boy Hegseth, that little soy boy, man-child. We go big and huge and wide. And, we ran 700 bombing runs against the Houthi. Yeah, and while the Houthi shot down half a dozen of your Predator or Reaper MQ-9 drones at 30 million a pop. We've never fought a war against a peer since World War II. Never. We didn't have to, and we weren't invaded. So we're always taking on, like the bully does, like the schoolyard bully does, he takes on weak people. He needs to win. And if you have a highly narcissistic character like Trump, but is he really all that sane? Is he really that rational in his decisions? Is he shooting from the hips? I'll sanction the entire world. And then when the entire world says, well, can we maybe get a reduction or like a pause in these damaging or lethal sanctions, then he says, well, you know, they were kissing my ass. They were crawling back to me, you know, so they all wanted to talk. And I'm like, if you're really with a narcissistic personality, it's all about them. Is Trump really the good king that cares about the well-being of America first? Or could some people say, seems like he's more like Israel first, or the Ukraine first, or any of that stuff? Is he really pursuing America's interests, and is he doing so morally, ethically, skillfully, effectively? I'm saying he didn't think this through. I'm saying he's just throwing out tears, he's shooting from the hips. Yes, it's wonderful to make quick decisions, but they have to also have a pretty good batting average. You say, wonderful, you're making decisions quickly and intuitively and all that stuff, and then 90% of them turn out to be wrong or based on false intel or false information, then you're not really a critical thinker. It behooves you as a critical thinker to think things through. I'm not saying all the way to the end. There's too many variables in it. He said, I'll end this war in the Ukraine in 24 hours. Yeah, how's that coming along, Donald? Maybe I'll do it in 100 days. Well, then you shouldn't be sending people like Kellogg or Rubio or other neocons there that have no grasp on this, hate Russia viscerally for no reason other than, they don't want to give our resources up. They don't like us to do regime change on them. No, they don't. It's a sovereign nation. It's a fucking powerful nation. They have more nukes. They have better nukes. They have things that you know not of. The Russians cannot be defeated by any other means than nuclear war, and even there, a doubt. If anyone would be left standing after full-scale nuclear exchange, if that's even possible, it would be the Russians, not us. We have shit that's 50 years old that doesn't work, that's never even been tested. We are not what you think we are. If you hate that message, then kill the messenger, great, but it's still the truth.